Oh, am I supposed to go?
No.
Oh,
Hi,
live.
this is Damien AtHope, and I am an Axiological Atheist. And I'm here with Jenny. Could you go ahead and tell us your name and tell us what kind of atheist you are?
Hi, I'm Jenny Harper, and I would say that I am an anti-theist atheist.
Okay.
Uh,
Could you explain to us what you mean by anti-theist?
um, well, I'm anti-theist. I'm against
Oh,
theism of any kind,
okay.
absolutely. I'm also pretty anti-religion, if I'm understanding what that means. You know, um,
Okay.
I think it's bad for the world and bad for human beings in general to believe that there's some higher being with their interests at heart. I think that's ridiculous. So,
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm also an anti-theist, which to me means that anti-theism or any religion with a belief in a god, and also anti-religionist in the fact that I'm against all religion, whether or not it has a god. And I agree with you that sometimes people seem to not understand what it means to be anti-religionist, in fact, or anti-theist, like you said. That I'm against the belief of the God because it's harmful because of two things. I mean, actually, I'll say three things, but two things mainly is that one, like you said, is the positive belief in the God means you're trusting on something that's fake. So in other words, if you pray for fake help, you get fake help. You do not get help. And this sometimes will get people to not take care of themselves, and so it is harmful, or take care of others because they're so
absolutely.
busy praying when that prayer does nothing. And
Instead of doing.
yeah,
Yeah.
instead of doing. And then the other thing is that because you think you're talking to a God, this is the other problem I have a big problem with, where you believe a God can talk to you, that the thoughts in your own head that could be destructive or violent or hateful or whatever, you can then justify as, well, it's God doing this to you, and thus you can hate people or hurt people and feel completely and utterly absolved of any wrongdoing. And so I think in that it's also very harmful. And then my last thing is I think that it removes, the child's rights, because almost all religion, whether no matter how mild it is, will always force and indoctrinate children. And I think in that thing that, you wouldn't inherently teach some child about flat Earth, so to teach
Yeah,
them about a God is just as scientifically ridiculous.
absolutely.
So, were you always an atheist, or did you have a religious background?
I was definitely raised religious.
Could you
I
say
would
what
say that,
religion?
what was
What
that?
what religion?
Christianity. Um, I was raised in Christianity. I would say that it never really took, um, much to my mother's chagrin. She's pretty upset about that. Uh, well, one thing I can say though that I think that she did right was she never stopped me from asking questions in church, and I would ask a lot of questions. And well, you could tell they were getting annoyed with me because I was always asking a lot of questions, But if it just sounds ridiculous, well then I think it probably is ridiculous, right? Anyway, so yeah, I was raised religious. I guess I've always been an atheist. I think I was an atheist before I knew kind of what that term really meant.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a name for it. I just knew I didn't believe in their BS.
So
So
so I was wondering, there was never a time in your childhood at all that you ever believed. I mean, that's
I
fine
would
if it
say
wasn't.
probably when I was very small, maybe around 3 or 4. I just when you're that age, you think, well, whatever your parents say is true. But a little bit further on, God, even by 5 or 6, I was like, yeah, this doesn't make any sense. So maybe, I guess I don't really think I understood what I was really adhering to, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I would just I'm just an atheist. I've just always kind of been an atheist, you know?
No, that's cool. Yeah, I know that, like you said, I don't think that some believers that think that they're devout believers really understand what they're believing. Because you start asking them, and they don't know crap. Or they say, "Well, I believe in the Bible." Well, how much do you believe? Well, everything. And they start listing things like, "I don't believe that." Well, I thought you believe in the Bible. So yeah, I think most people are in that position. Because the problem, like you said about religion, is people start with belief first, and then try to fit the facts later. I mean,
Yeah, no kidding.
that,
That's all I can do. Just shake my head.
so was it any particular brand of Christianity, or was it just like a loose, version of the Bible?
Um, Geez. Well, the denomination was Pentecostal, so
Okay.
there was a lot of singing and crying and praying and dancing in the aisles and running.
Yeah, been there.
Re- just, I think that also kind of helped me not believe in it. I remember when I was very, very little, probably about 5 or 6. All these ladies are up at the altar praying and crying and just, oh, speaking in tongues and all the fanfare of that nonsense, And I remember looking up at my dad and saying, "What's wrong with them?" And I didn't understand, like, what the heck is wrong with these people? They just seemed just crazy. Even to my young mind, it seemed just ridiculous. So, yeah. Pentecostal. I don't know if
Yeah.
that answers your question.
No. Yeah. Well, yeah. Because I was saying, because there's Baptist, there's Lutheran, there's a lot of different kinds of Christian. That's what I wanted to know. So, did you ever read the Bible? Christians are always telling atheists, "Well, you didn't read the whole Bible."
I haven't read the whole Bible. I've read parts of it. Probably, I guess, the bad parts. Well, there's so many, though. You know,
Yeah.
um, I haven't read the whole Bible. It's a hard read, and I'm a reader. I like to read a lot, and it's such a horribly written compilation of stories. Yeah, I just can't get through it, to be honest. I just,
Yeah, I agree with the fact that if I hadn't already read it, I wouldn't go out of my way now to read it, for me personally. But I
yeah.
already had, I read it when I was a believer. I was a believer until I was 36.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had full belief. I never even thought of doubting. Of course, I was indoctrinated, but I mean, I was raised like in a, like you said, evangelical Pentecostal Christian cult. And we didn't have TV till I was 13. No radio, because the only reason I was 13, my mom divorced my dad because he was controlling as all hell. So she moved out, and
Excuse me.
then because of that later I was able to watch TV. But so we had no outside influence. We just had church. We went 3 times a
Oh,
week.
man. Yeah, I could see that if that's all you were presented with.
Don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. I was raised in kind of well, not kind of. I was raised in an abusive household, and
What kind of abuse?
physical, mental, emotional. Um, I just thought that's just the way things were, until I got to be about a freshman in high school and started kind of getting out of the house more and going over to other friends' houses and seeing that that's just not how things are, and that's not how things have to be. And once I understood that, I got out of it really quickly and put myself in a foster home. So to get away from it, just couldn't take getting beat on anymore. So I think it's kind of related in a way, because if you don't know any different, you just don't know it.
Yeah,
How
true.
are you supposed to figure it out?
Yeah, I agree with that. That's why like people think that I try to make people atheists. I don't try to make people anything. I
Yeah.
I want to offer people the understanding that religion is wrong. and I want to show why, and that it's emotionally, truly harmful, even though you may think it's not, and I want to say why, and I want to say what it does, and I want to give people the evidence. What they choose to do with that is their choice. I don't think people should choose it for their child. That's a whole different issue. But I mean, for them an adult, I want them to understand.
Yeah.
So that's what I try to do, because like I said, at 36, I went to college, to be a drug and alcohol counselor. I had to take 2 classes on religion, and that's what turned me atheist. Basically, it was just getting the facts for the first time,
Yeah.
So, have you been really out about your atheism, or has it always been just a kind of a thing that you were?
I think for the most part, it's just been kind of a thing that I was, and I never really thought about it, and I never really. I was raised around Christianity so much that when I just figured people are just Christian, that's just the way, it's just what I'm going to have to be around, so people are always saying, oh, I'll pray for you, all this or that, oh, thanks, okay, I just never really contested it or anything when people would say stuff like that. And then just the past few years is when I've really become pretty hardline about it, and really taking kind of a stance about it,
Yeah.
and a lot of it was being on Facebook and seeing all this nonsense that people that I knew were religious would post, like, oh, if you don't believe in Jesus, keep scrolling and burn in hell, that kind of stupid meme and I know that I guess that's kind of a ridiculous reason to take a stance or a strong stance on something, but that's kind of what sparked it for me, was just seeing this, and it just would drive me nuts,
Right.
So
Yeah, yeah. Facebook's helped a lot for me too. When I first started, like I said, I happened because of college. I had never even met an atheist. I never even, in fact, like you said too, for 6 months I didn't even know if I should call myself an atheist. I didn't even understand the word, because I thought, well, I don't believe in Greek mythology. Does that mean I'm not, an anti-Greek mythology? I don't even, know. I
yeah.
didn't, I had no information. So I just knew that I stopped believing in God and Christianity and the Bible. I didn't really know what all that meant, really. And then I thought, oh, maybe I care about, values and ethics and stuff. Maybe I'm a spiritual, atheist. But then I found out later that when people say the word spiritual, they usually mean all kinds of woo and bullshit. And I realized, wow, fuck that. I don't want nothing to do with that word. So for me, at least, I see that's connected to all kinds of other people who start talking about Buddhism and all this, and I'm like, what's the difference? Buddhism is, more bullshit, or people were saying Rawism. I don't know if you ever heard of that. That's where they believe in, like, space aliens. It came out in the 1970s. Kind of like Scientology.
No, I haven't heard of that one. That's a new one.
Yeah, well, all the reason I know about it is because I was in a group for spiritual atheists, and they started talking about all this nonsense. I'm like, yeah, that's not me. I must not be using the word spiritual right. Because I thought spiritual just mean like you feel like there's a connection to the world, or that people have value.
Yeah. Wow.
And,
I could see how you'd feel that way. Yeah.
Right. Right. That's why I knew that I care about. Really, what I was trying to go against was this. I thought was the difference in nihilism, like the sort of like a belief that there's no really morality, or there's no value in things in a sense, and that's what I was trying to say. I wasn't, because I felt like some atheists are like, why there's no morality, and I don't feel that way at all. But that's when That's when I researched more, and that's when I found Axiology, which is about value and about the defining of what is good. So that's
Yeah,
why I
the
changed.
first time I ever heard of that term, axiological, was, well, you know,
Right.
you said something about that. It was maybe a year ago, even. It was a while ago,
Yeah.
and I
Well,
asked you what does that mean, and you told me, you sent me like a link to um, maybe Wikipedia or something like that,
yeah.
or you told me what it meant, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, probably Wikipedia back then. There's other things too. The thing is that there's not that much really about it on our side. In other words, it's been basically hijacked mostly before. It's starting to be on our side now, though. But it's been mostly hijacked before by religious people because they want to say that creates value and God creates good, and so then, thus, they own axiology. No, you don't. Formal axiology is actually scientific and says that humans are better than belief. So that would include religious belief or God belief
yeah,
or any. So and it's scientific in the fact that it starts with evolution and stuff like that. So it really it more is on our side. It's actually secular, but it's more on our side obviously than on theirs because it's not pro-religious.
yeah.
So
That makes
it
sense.
actually it actually formal axiology would say that religious shouldn't that morality is too important to leave in the hands of religion.
Yeah, yeah, I could agree with that.
And so can
Absolutely.
I. And so
Religious morality is like, whoa. It's
well,
pretty scary, you know?
yeah, well, well, most of it actually really shouldn't be classed as a morality because usually a morality involves some kind of moral reasoning, and if you just do whatever you're told, that's not reasoning.
Absolutely.
So, getting back to you, so when you were younger and you were an atheist, how did this affect your life? I mean, did you said you were largely in Christian areas and stuff. I mean, did you tell any of your friends at school, or did you tell your parents when you were younger?
You know, I didn't really have a name to put to it. I just didn't really believe in it. And I never said anything to my parents because, well, well, they're abusive for one thing, you know, but it was just easier to kind of keep it to myself and
Okay.
not say anything about what I thought
Right.
about things. When I got to be a teenager, I started having conversations about it with my mom after I came back from living in a foster home, and like questioning things really hard, like, well, you know, if if uh, if God created good and evil, then that means that God's capable of evil, right? And she would get really upset with me about that, really frustrated, and you know, I mean, they're, I guess, elementary questions, but that's really the first time I ever, conversed with her about those kind of ideas that maybe discounted what her faith said, and I don't know. I know I didn't really tell my mom that I was an atheist until a few years ago. And of course, she was pretty upset about that whole idea. And
What
now
what
our
did,
relationship
what did
is
she
just,
what did she say when you told her, or
oh,
how did you tell her?
jeez.
How did you come out to your mom?
Oh, man. What was that?
No, I said, how did you
I
come
didn't
out
hear.
to your mom?
Oh, I just told her. She was saying, I don't remember exactly what she was saying, but she was saying some stuff, some religious things, and I was like, look, I just don't believe in any of that shit. Sorry. I don't believe in any of that, and I don't believe there's a God. I don't believe in your Jesus. It's BS. You don't have any proof of it. Nobody does, and
Right.
she was pretty upset about it, just angry and distraught, uh man, like, I get the I just don't even know where to begin with that. I get the, well, don't you care? Don't you want to spend eternity with me? No, I don't. I don't want to spend eternity with you. I'm sorry. I love you because you're my mom, but man, I can't even get along with you for a week. So no, I don't. don't want to spend eternity in heaven with you and worshiping some. No, God, what a horrible idea that is. Anyway, she just angry, upset, sad. I don't know. I don't know if that answers your question or not. I mean, yeah.
Well, that's good. I remember the exact time for my mom. I was really worried that my whole family was going to disown me once I told them I was an atheist, because I knew that was about the worst thing that I could possibly tell them. I mean,
Yeah.
but so I tried not to. But my mom, I remember the exact time. My mom said, "I want to pray with you," and I didn't say anything. And she goes, "Oh, how come you're seeming like you're not interested in praying?" I said, I'm just not." And she's like, "Are you mad at God?"
Oh God.
No, I'm not mad at God, because I don't believe there is a God. And then she's
Uh-oh.
like started first challenging me, saying all these different things. And I tried to be nice, but I basically counteracted everything she was saying. And I was like, "You don't really want to start with me about what God is and all this stuff." And so then she cried because she felt like, well, I'm going to go to hell. Because
Oh yeah.
to my family, it would have been if I told her that I was homosexual than to say that I'm, an atheist, because homosexual, I could still be Christian, but an atheist, I'm going to hell and going to die, and not with her. But I agree with you. Like I always challenge people. What do they think heaven really is? Heaven is a place
Yeah.
that you do what? That you forever subserviently worship this being. That's not heaven. That's just worship. I don't see where
Yeah.
that's. I mean, it's so funny because I don't think that people like to have that much. Like when they go to church, how often do they spend worship? They do a little singing, and then they stop, and then they listen to a sermon. They get bored to tears, and they want to leave. I mean, you don't like that now. Do you really think that's going to be like you said? That sounds like the most horrific thing.
24/7. To me, I mean, if there was a hell, that would be it. That would be it for me, honestly. If I could imagine a hell, man, that would come close,
Yeah.
I really would rather be flayed alive than have to spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or however they quantify time in heaven, uh, worshiping and, God, it's just horrible. It's a horrible idea.
And it doesn't even seem logical, because what powerful being would even want that? I mean, it's just ludicrous. It doesn't even make sense.
I couldn't agree more.
So
Absolutely.
did you have any friends that when you were in school and stuff that knew you were an atheist, or did you just not tell anyone?
No, I just never really told anyone. And it wasn't like, as far as friends go and stuff, I really didn't have a lot of friends, for one thing.
Why is
I've
that?
always been kind of antisocial and I have social anxiety pretty badly.
Oh, okay.
So, that's kind of, I didn't have that many friends to tell, and the friends that I did have, I just never really thought about it. It's just, they're religious, I'm not, whatever,
So I'm saying, so you would say you're not, or you would just say if they said you're a Christian, you would just say yes? That's all.
I just wouldn't. I would just say I'm not religious, right?
Oh, okay.
And so they can think whatever they want about that, I guess. I think generally most Christians assume, well, oh, they're just not religious, but everybody believes in God, you know what I mean? So I think people that I was friends with just assumed that I also believed in a God, and I just let them think whatever they want. I never really cared too much, I guess. I care a lot now. I don't want anybody to think that I believe in God. I don't. One thing I hate, the area that I live in is, it's a pretty small city, and it's definitely predominantly white people,
Yeah.
mostly rednecks, you know,
Yeah.
and they automatically assume that because I'm white and live in
Redneck.
this area that I believe in God. And I'm a Christian too, and
Right.
I hold all their little racist thinking errors, and I hate that. And they'll say things, and a lot of times I just have to keep my mouth shut because you know it's one of my son's friends' parents, or and I don't want to create a problem for him having a friend, because that's important to me that he has friends, whether or not they're religious or not, because kind of at the age that he's at right now, I just don't think that stuff doesn't usually get in the way of relationships that they have, because their relationships are mostly at school or sometimes on the weekends, if that makes sense.
Definitely. So, but your look is definitely, with your hair and stuff, definitely doesn't look redneck.
No,
The reason I ask you
they
that,
still.
or what I understand, is because, like me, how I look with my red beard. I mean, I lived in Georgia, and one time I was in Savannah, and I was at a Chinese restaurant, and some rednecks sat down next to me, and they just looked at me, and they're like, telling me I'm going to go to hell. I hadn't even said anything. I didn't say nothing, but just my look, because I look, they felt I was like a Satanist or something, or whatever. I'm sure it's probably
Yeah.
just as bad to say I was an atheist. I didn't even say anything though. They didn't
Oh
even know
yeah.
anything about me, and they started on their phone. They started playing like Jesus hymns real loud and stuff, and it's just
Wow.
obnoxious and ridiculous. But the point
And I
is,
think the area I live in is bad, but I don't think it's that bad. I've never had anybody do anything like that to me. I don't know. Wow, that's a that's wow. I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. That's horrible that somebody would do that to you that you don't even know, and all
yeah,
you're
and
doing is sitting there.
I'm just saying that they didn't even know what I was. Just figured because I had a red beard and a bald head or whatever, and I wear black, that I must be some kind of an evil person. So I was just wondering, has anyone ever,
Ignorance.
said anything to you?
No, I've never had anybody say anything like that. Um, for a short time, I went to like a beauty school to do nails, and
Uh,
it ended up not being for me. It wasn't my thing, but the teacher was very religious, and there was a student in the class that was also very religious, and they would sit and just religion all day long. When we weren't learning something, they were talking about religion, and I was sitting there with them just listening. I'm an open-minded person, and I like to listen to people. I like to listen. I'm I'm more articulate when I write things down than I am when I'm trying to get my point across talking to somebody, because I'm really nervous about talking to people. I'm pretty shy. So that's hard for me. And I remember sitting there just listening to this religious bullshit just all day long. And for about a week, they were doing this, and I was sitting there listening, and I was being open-minded. I was trying to listen to see, well, is there anything that they're going to say that's really changed my mind about this? And after about a week of it, the teacher looks at me, and she said something about excuse me, she said something about praise the Lord, or something about something the other girl said. She's all, right, Jenny? And I looked at her, I said, actually, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in any of it. And she goes, that look of just utter shock. Like, I think she just had, or they both had just assumed that because I was sitting there listening that I was right on board with them. And I wasn't. I was just listening. And she goes, really? You're an atheist? And I was like, yeah, I just to me there's just no evidence for any of this. And I just don't believe in it at all. And I said, but I'm open-minded and I'm willing to listen, and I've been sitting here and listening to you guys, you know.
Yeah.
And I would say that after that, because I was honest about it, the treatment that I received after that was a lot different. Up until that point, I was just one of them, you know, just
Yeah.
we're all good friends hanging out, and after that, it was not the same at all. So I would say that's probably the thing that sticks out most to me about the kind of, I guess, treatment I've had from people in the area that find out that I'm an atheist, you know. But otherwise, I'm not the most social person, so I'm not out and about meeting people or in situations where I have to tell people that I'm an atheist. I'm not against it. I would, absolutely, you know, because I'm pretty honest about that. And to me, it's pretty important, I think, that it's important for people that don't believe to kind of speak up, because I think Christians are predominantly who are, I guess, running things in our country. So they're kind of making all the rules, and they just assume that everybody's Christian. And I think it's important that they realize that not everybody is Christian, and not everybody believes in any kind of God or gods or mythology. I just always, yeah, I call it Christian mythology because that's what it is. It's ridiculous, you know. But anyway, I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, you don't have to. You don't have to ask that every time.
I'm so nervous, man.
Because the point is, there's not really a right answer. This is just, you know, like if you explain it or I explain it, of course it's going to be different because we view things differently. So there's no right answer. I mean, that's one of the, I think that the thing that's so great about atheism and so wrong about religion is religion, you know, everybody has to say, amen, I agree, you know, to everything, you know. And I think that inherently, you know, we don't really always see everything 100%. And we experience it in a different way. And I think that that's such a wonderful thing about atheism is that we don't have to set everything doctrines and we all got to, like, you know, sign at the bottom, you know, and fill out the atheist contract or some bullshit. You know,
Yeah.
it's okay to, you know, to just have it our own way. And I wanted to say too that do you feel that there's more pressure on you being a female to be religious? Like I know some people that are like African American sometimes feel like because they're African American they have to be religious, and some people I think that's what I'm trying to ask is, some people feel like women are inherently like more spiritual or more religious, so when they're not, they're given a harder time. Have you experienced that at all?
Not so much. No. I don't feel um I don't feel pressured to be religious because I'm female, but I do feel pressured to be religious if I want to have a relationship with my family. And you know, I don't, but that's by the women in my family. So I don't know. I mean, I don't really feel pressure to be religious because I'm a girl, and I don't know.
And so you said you have children. Do you raise them secular or non religious, or do you raise them atheist?
Um, well, my son is now 18. He's in his last year of high school. Um, I would say when he was little, we never raised him one way or the other. We kind of just I exposed him to religion. I went to church with my mom and took him to church a couple of times, and he was really the first person in our little family to say that he didn't believe in God, just
Oh,
outright.
really?
You
At what
know, and
age?
he was about 8 or 9, and
Oh,
he said it in a group of us. It wasn't a family group, but a friend of mine at the time was over with her son and her boyfriend at the time, and he said that he's all somebody. I don't even. God, I feel silly. I don't remember what was being talked about at the time, but I just remember my son just like he's all looks at at her son and he says, "I don't believe in God. That's stupid. It's ridiculous." You know. and I remember her
Gotta love that kid.
son. Yeah, well, kids they tell the truth. They're honest about things like that. And I
Oh,
just remember, I remember feeling a little bit shocked that he said that just so readily, because I wouldn't say that like that, and it was just in conversation, just throw that out there, and I remember saying, well, you haven't gotten all the facts yet, and you don't really know yet, so maybe you should think about it more before you decide what you think, what you believe, and and I remember her son going when he said that, and I remember her going, like, oh my God, I can't believe he just said that, and yeah, but I was a little bit shocked at the time because he was so willing to say that, but then I'm also like super proud of him for not being at all afraid to say that,
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
so I guess when he was younger, we didn't really raise him one way or the other, but he decided pretty early on what he thought, and now he's definitely an out atheist. If that subject comes up in conversation, he puts a name to it. He says it pretty much immediately, and I know it's affected his social life a little bit. Friends-wise, his friends are pretty much on the same page as him, but I know when he was a sophomore, he had his first girlfriend, and he I can't remember exactly what he said happened, but the subject came up, and he told her, well, I'm an atheist, and she immediately made an excuse to leave, and then the next day broke up with him. And he was pretty upset about that, because he kind of felt like, well, I don't really care that you're Christian. Why do you give a shit, And so that didn't work out for him. But, yeah, I don't know. So I guess now, yeah, we definitely, I don't know if we raise him. I can't really say we raise him to be an atheist. He just is an atheist. So I don't know.
So that's your only child, or do you have other children?
Yeah, that's our only child.
Okay.
Just the one.
Yeah, you don't look old enough to have an 18-year-old son. You're just so young and attractive looking.
Oh, well, thanks. Well, I am going to be 38 on March 2nd. So, yeah, I had him when I was young. I was about 19 when I had him.
That's cool. So when he did that make you start thinking about becoming more of an out atheist yourself, or how did you go from the transition of not really being out as an atheist, or to being more concerned or out as an atheist? What you said it was Facebook, but what was that? Was it already started from him, or another thing, or was it only Facebook that inspired you? And how did you?
Well, I would say definitely Facebook had a big role in it, because I had friends that were people that I grew up with that were just always religious and pray for me, pray for this, pray for that, and I just got really tired of seeing it all the time, and I started wondering, well, are there other people that are like me that don't believe in this bogus bullshit? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cuss.
Oh, you can cuss. That's fine. I don't give a fuck.
Okay, cool. Because I have a bad habit of or I just have a habit of cussing. I don't know if it's bad, but anyway.
I mean,
So, yeah,
I don't like sexist, homophobic, or racist things, but other than that, I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's cool with me too then. Anyhow, so yeah, I just got tired of seeing all this bullshit all the time, and I was just wondering, is there are there other people that feel the same way that I do about this? So I started trying to really put a name to it, and feeling like, well, I'm not the only person. There's other people, I figured that out through Facebook, and I have to say, like, the people that I had on my friends list from people that I grew up with that I knew, they're just not on there anymore, and I'm fine with that. They're just gone. And you know, honestly, I have to say most of them I got rid of myself. I didn't wait around for them to get rid of me. I was like, I can't deal with your religious crap. I'm just not religious, you know. That's just what it is. And I want to be conversing with people that also aren't, you know, that think about how things actually are, not how they would like things to be. Well, to me, it's not a very comforting idea to
Yeah.
have this, you know, being overseeing my life, you know, with these ridiculous strictures on how I should live my life. When, you know, I mean, I don't want to be punished for being a human being. That's ridiculous, and I think that's kind of what religion teaches. It teaches people to punish each other and themselves for being a human being and having human or human urges, you know, or whatever, you know, and that really, yeah, I got rid of the religion on the Facebook page, but that's what really started it for me, and I took a stand, I guess, and said, I'm not religious. Screw you guys.
And I like that about you. Yeah, I know. I used to have a lot more religious people on my page that were my relatives or whatever before they kind of like disowned me. But my stepdad, who's an assistant pastor at a church, and him and my mom are like leaders and Celebrate Recovery, a Christian like 12-step atheist, 12-step like sobriety program or whatever. Anyways, my dad told me, I really, you know, wanted to address your posts are really offensive and stuff, you know, and I said, let me rectify that, and I unfriended his ass.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll
Exactly.
do something about that right away.
Yeah.
No problem. You don't want those in your inbox? I got a solution for that. You know what will happen is you'll no
Exactly.
longer be my friend.
Yeah, I mean, that's an easy one, isn't it?
Hmm.
I always think that's an easy thing to do. If you really don't want to see what people are posting, or people don't want to see what I'm posting, take a hike. You know, you don't have to. You don't have to subject yourself to it and fight with me about it. And that's, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, what I think is funny sometimes is how people will come, they're on my friends list, and they'll come on my page and they'll like act like I can't post whatever the fuck I want. You know,
Yeah.
I don't really give a shit. Well, I don't really like your posting. I don't really fucking care. How's that? Like I
Yeah.
posted one meme that says, you know, that in loving memory of when I gave a shit what you think of me.
Yeah. No kidding.
The thing is, it's not that I don't care or don't like people. I do like people, but don't think that you're gonna come and tell me what the fuck to do, especially on my page. I always tell people I never go on someone else's page and tell them what the fuck to do. There's a lot of people that are
Yeah.
even on my friends list that I would, if I was being an asshole, I would go on their pages and talk all kind of shit because I'm very, very hardcore in how I believe, and some people don't believe like me. But that I don't require people to, and that's why I always dumbfounded when people think they can come on my page and tell me what the fuck. Like I've had people tell me I post too much shit about, you know, feminism. I don't give a fuck if it offends you. How's that? Who cares? Fuck you. You don't
Yeah.
like it? Unfriend me.
Yeah. That's an important issue, though, you know? I don't know. I guess maybe to some people it's not.
Well, some people, I think there's a really, speaking of that, I think there's a real movement, anti-feminism, and
Yeah.
I do think there's some feminists which are, or people calling themselves feminists, that are being more misandrous, and you know, opposed to a lot of things that they shouldn't be, you know, as someone who's a real feminist. And I think that hurts, but I think really it's more anti-feminism and sexism that really is why people have such a problem with it. Because, you know, it's
Yeah.
really, because the issue is that, for me, the thing is, I'm an anarchist. That's the reason I'm a feminist, is more because I'm an anarchist, not because I'm trying to be part of a feminist movement or something. So I
Hmm.
know that's a little bit different than some people, but in general, I just feel I'm against hierarchy. I don't think that people are above other people. That's the biggest reason
Yeah.
why I like anarchism. Nobody is above anybody. And I don't
Yeah.
think anyone has to earn rights to be, worthwhile. And I reject this thinking that, that when people say, well, a man is stronger than a woman, well, if strength is the category of maleness, then I guess, Stephen Hawking's must not be a man since he's not strong. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just
I don't understand that thinking myself. I mean, just because somebody's physically stronger than me doesn't how does that quantify their betterness or their, that's really ridiculous. I mean, I'm smarter than a lot of people, but that doesn't mean I'm better than them. I'm I'm I don't know, I'm fatter than a lot of people. That doesn't mean I'm not as good as them. That's just utterly ridiculous. Yeah, I have a hard time. I have a hard time with that. I'm definitely a feminist. I think that there are people that call themselves feminists that really are just female misogynists, if you could be that. They're female chauvinists. They want to do the same thing back to men that they've had done to them, and that's not feminism. That's just fighting fire with fire instead of getting what you really want or what you should really want, which is equality, right?
yeah.
Um, I don't think because somebody's stronger than me that makes them better than me, and I don't think. Uh, yeah, I agree with you. People are equal when
Yeah,
they
I
just
always find
are.
it
We're
funny
alive.
when someone says, well, women have rights to their own body, right? And I say, right, and that's why I also support prostitution or stripping or
Yeah,
nude modeling or whatever. I mean, women have women should be able to take their shirts off and walk topless. I mean, it's
I
all
agree.
equal. And they say, well, a woman's choosing to be weak, and she has that choice.
Yeah,
I support free choice. I
yeah,
personally would never
absolutely.
want to be subservient to fucking anybody. But if someone wants to, they should have the right to and not be defamed because of it, or not be defamed for being a slut, or not to be any more than
Yeah,
I don't think that just because someone is strong and powerful and radical and doesn't want somebody, they shouldn't be defamed for that either. I don't think
I
that's not.
agree. I agree. I think that you're right. I think, yeah, I just agree exactly with what you just said completely. I think that if somebody wants to be, if a woman, well, God, if anybody wants to be a porno star,
That's
a
right.
prostitute, a stripper, yeah, a nude model, whatever, what's the difference? And I think that the only reason that we have a problem with that, or not we, but that people have a problem with that is based in religious ideas. It's women need to cover themselves, women
Right.
need to um, debase themselves, women need to do all these things, and it's all lies in religion. That's what most religions teach, and it's unfortunate. Um, yeah, I don't think somebody should be slut shamed because they're doing what they want to do. If they want to do that, what's the goddamn difference? Why do you care? If it's not affecting you, why does it matter? Just like gay people getting married. Why shouldn't they get married? What's the difference? If they love each other, why not?
I
If they don't want
totally
to get
agree.
married, cool too. What's the difference? If you're not gay, it doesn't have any bearing on you at all. You know, I just can't understand all that hate people have for everybody else. Just let people do their own thing if it's not
Yeah,
hurting
but
you.
yeah, but it's funny though. Even in our atheist community, though, I still feel like that. I had this false belief that when you're an atheist, that you have critical thinking and reason and all this humanism and stuff. Yeah, I find out that's not really actually the case. I mean,
Yeah,
it's I would say it's more than the general population, but I don't think that we've cornered the market on the shit.
yeah, yeah.
Because
I've heard some things that people say, and I'm like, wow. And they're all, well, I'm an atheist. I'm like, okay, well, okay. I guess that, just because somebody's an atheist doesn't mean that they have good ideas about everything. That's just their one good idea, or whatever.
Yeah, I think that because like I've had people unfriend me because I'm in a open poly marriage, and they feel like that's horrid. To me, that's just your religious thinking. I mean, I can
Yeah.
do whatever I want. In fact, I think that I do it in a good way because I know I'm sexual. I know that I like to have sex with other women, and my wife knows that, and I'm
Yeah.
open about it. So I think that's a wonderful thing about being honest. It's not like I'm,
Well,
you
I
know,
think that's true. If you guys are cool with that and you're cool with each other being that way, what's the difference? It doesn't have any effect on me at all. I don't care. If that's what makes you happy, then you should be doing what makes you happy. The only reason that anybody has a problem with that is because they think that being married means that you have to just be with one person for the rest of your
exactly.
life. And if that's how you define marriage for yourself, then that's totally acceptable. Like, that's how I define marriage for myself, and that's totally fine.
Yes.
But I'm not judging anybody based on how they defined marriage for themselves, and I don't judge people based on how they like to have sex. Who
Yes.
cares? If that's what they want to do, then that's what they want to do. What's the difference?
I know. So
Gosh.
I agree. I think it's crazy because it's like I never say that this is the way everyone else should be. Never. I've never ever said that. All I say is
Yeah,
I have the right to be this way and not have you fucking attack me.
absolutely. I agree with you. You
It's
should
like,
be doing what makes you and your wife happy. That's
right.
totally acceptable, right? I mean, if
I,
that's
I,
what,
I agree, but I mean, like I said, I don't. That's why I don't get. That's like I said about women owning their bodies. I own my body. I own my marital. Set up my marriage. I can do with
yeah,
it as I wish, especially
yeah,
since me and my wife are both agreeing. I don't get where anybody thinks they have the right to say anything. But I think it goes back to really religion, this thinking that there's a certain right way of doing things, which is, like I said, one thing I don't like about religion is this: don't tell me what the fuck to do. I
hmm,
mean, I don't do that to other people. I don't tell you what's right for you.
yeah,
You know, and it's like to me too. I don't think there's a right thing. Like I don't think there's a right sexuality to me. I don't think there's anything wrong with not being sexual at all, being asexual or not having any sexual desire. I think it's a totally healthy position if that's really who you are. And I think
yeah,
that, like me, if you're super hypersexual, I don't think there's anything wrong, and I don't think there's anything wrong with anybody in between. I think that
yeah,
it's whatever is right for you. As long as you're not
yeah,
hurting other people or coercing other people against their will, I don't think there's a problem.
yeah. I agree with you. Yeah, there's that term safe, sane, and consensual. If that's how you, yeah, I mean, as long as you're all consenting adults, and that's how you guys define your relationship, then there shouldn't be anything wrong with that. I think I'm sorry that you've had people unfriend you and judge you like that.
Yeah.
That's just unfair and
Oh, I had someone unfriend me because I said that I'll have sex with a woman who's 18. I said if they're an adult, they're an adult. I
yeah,
mean, I have had sex with a 19-year-old, and then he's like, "What are you bragging?" I said, "I'm not bragging. I was just making a point that I don't see a problem with that. If someone's a fucking adult, they're an adult." He goes, "Well, I
yeah,
think it should be 20 something," but that's not adult. I mean, everyone knows legally adult is 18. You know,
yeah,
and so I don't understand, that people's problem with that, and he ended up I unfriended me because he's telling me that I'm a pedophile, all this bullshit, and the only
huh?
reason, so I mean,
That's weird.
he's an atheist too. I mean,
Yeah,
like I have kids, you shouldn't do anyone that's within 10 years of your age. I'm like, who the fuck says that? What if
yeah,
what if I do someone 90? I mean, what does that matter? Like you said about sexuality,
yeah,
why should it
yeah.
matter?
I see what you're saying. I mean, that's yeah, yeah. If you said I slept with a 90-year-old woman,
Yep,
people would have a much different reaction to that,
probably still
right?
negative.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm sure it would be because, it's not okay to get old. That's not acceptable, especially for women because, our only value is how we look. That's ridiculous. Yeah. That's bullshit.
Yeah. So, have you experienced speaking of value? Have you experienced any difference in atheism being a woman, or have you felt like it's been an equal for you?
For the most part, I think that, geez, dealing with, like I said, most of the dealings I've had with other atheists is online. For the most part, it's been a good experience for me. Coming from just atheist men in general, tend to value women a little more highly than religious men do. And, I'm not, that may not sound very politically correct, but
Oh, this is not a politically correct interview, so go ahead.
I'm going to have to take you with me real quick and let my dog out. He's whining at the door. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. So you've experienced a lot more positive being a woman in the atheist community?
Yeah, it's been much more of a positive. Geez, wow, sorry about that. Camera's all over the place. It's been a much more positive experience for me, rather, as opposed to dealing with religious men in general tend to, because of their belief system, they tend to treat women as though they're inferior or less intelligent or not as worthy of respect, So for the most part, it's been a good experience. I run into a few atheist men or that identify as atheists that are part of the MRM, the men's rights movement or whatever, which is totally ridiculous. Also, and I just get rid of people like that because I don't need to be subjected to their bullshit, their misogyny or whatever. But
Yeah.
for the most part, it's been a good experience, and
That's
I
good.
feel as though I've been treated more equal. It's not always ideal, Sometimes I know on Facebook, sometimes like if I post a picture, it's like, oh, you're beautiful, you look really hot, oh wow, and that's cool. I appreciate the compliments, but a lot of times I'm just posting a picture. It's not. I'm not looking for your affirmations, or
Yeah.
whatever, So I sometimes wish that I could just post a picture and not get that kind of, not be, I guess, sexualized, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's still not as bad as some of the things that I've heard when dealing with religious dudes, So can't complain too much. I can deal with it,
Yeah. So what kind of dog do you have? Did you let
I
out?
I have a miniature dachshund.
Richard Dotson.
He's the coolest dog in the world
That's
too.
cool. So you said about some of the things. See, to me, I post pictures, and I have sometimes people say stuff too. But I think I don't mind. For me personally, I don't mind people saying things, but I do know that it is different for women. Just like if you as a woman say that you had an open marriage, you'd have a different response than if I do. I do. Nobody
Oh
really says
yeah.
anything. A few negative comments, but no one. It's not like women start emailing me privately or anything.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
like this one woman said, Damien, and I'm not saying this, but she said, Damien, you're attractive, and you're really out and funny guy and stuff. She goes, I'm surprised, women haven't hit on you. I go, yeah, really, it's not been that much. A few gay guys and one or two women, but really the whole time it's really been I don't ever have that happen. She goes, well, I have guys sending me dick pics all the time. I go, yeah, no one sends me nothing. No one asked me to send them nothing. I don't. One time a woman sent me a nude pic from like the Philippines or some shit, but I mean really it's
Luckily, I haven't had that happen.
oh, you
I'm
haven't.
glad for that. I haven't had that. I know I've heard some on Facebook, I've seen some other women that I'm friends with will be like, "Oh, I've got another one of those pictures," and I'm like,
That's
"Man,
never
I'm glad I
happened
haven't
to you,
had
huh?
that happen." That's the last thing I want to open up, and that's just the last thing I want.
Well, I don't want you to feel left out, so.
No, 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 no. I don't feel left out at all. It's all good. God. Oh, that would be horrible.
Oh, I thought that was a given. It seemed like every woman I talked to is complaining about that being a big problem. So that's kind of, I
I've
guess
had
you're kind
some
of lucky.
pictures like I've gotten some pictures where dude just randomly sent me like the selfie, but not not anything like upper half nude, no lower half nude, you know. And even still, I'm like, really, like, God, I don't need. That's not why I'm on here, I'm on here because I want to connect with other people that think about the universe and the world and God, humanity the way that I do, at least in part. I mean, we don't have to agree on everything, and I'm realistic about that. I know that we're not going to agree on everything, and I'm okay with that. We're people. We're all
Right.
different, right? That's normal. But I'm not on here to date people, or I'm just on here to talk to people about things that I think are of value and that are important.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like,
Not that I'm against anybody using Facebook that way. I don't mean that. That's fine, but it's just not for me. Anyways.
yeah, I don't intentionally try to use Facebook that way, and I do have an open marriage and stuff, but I don't use really Facebook that way. I really use Facebook for fucking activism.
Yeah.
If I was trying to entice people, I don't think that I'm getting the right person because I'm pretty fucking like firebrand atheism and out there. So most people, that's not the way to win people over. Of course, it depends on,
Yeah.
but I really feel like to me that it's my platform to try to inform people and get to people. Like you said, it changed you, and Facebook helped change me in that way too. So
Yeah.
that's what I would say my biggest thing for Facebook. But well, that's good. I'm glad that you haven't had a very negative experience. That's
For the
actually
most part, it's
promising.
been good, and that's good for me because I don't have the most success, or I haven't had the most success at like just trying to be social with people. I've not had a lot of good experiences that way. So this is one way that I have a successful social life through Facebook. But it works for me, I guess. So
Well, that's cool. I know I have I go to I go to a lot of meetings and stuff outside of Facebook that are atheists, and I'm going to go to 2 conventions this year. Do you do anything outside of Facebook for atheism, or are you just such a small town?
well, we're in a pretty small town, so there isn't a lot of that. There is a local humanist society, and we went to or my husband and I went to their, like, they had a solstice, like, kind of get together, which
Uh,
was cool. We went to that, but a lot of the people were kind of, I don't know that we fit in really. I mean, they were all very welcoming and nice, but I didn't really make that like connection with people that you make sometimes. You meet somebody and you just right away feel comfortable and you end up being friends, just right away. And I didn't really meet anybody like that. Although it was a very uh, stressful situation for me too, because I was going to a place where I'd never been before, meeting a bunch of people that I didn't know, and that's always stressful for me. Like doing this is, all week I needed all week to prepare myself mentally to talk to somebody that I don't know. It's hard for me. It's very hard for me. So that
you're
may
doing a
be
good
why.
job.
What was that?
Say you're doing a good job.
Oh, well, thanks. There's my dog. I gotta let him in.
All right, no problem.
Sorry. Sorry about that.
No problem. So is there anything that you're going to do later in the future more for atheism, or you're going to keep doing what you're doing?
Um,
Any
well,
goals?
at the moment, I'm pretty cool with just being on Facebook, and I'm on Twitter a little bit. I hardly ever go on there, though. Mostly I'm on Facebook. I like the format better because I can write a big, long letter comment if I want, you know.
Right.
And on Twitter, it's not like that. You can only, however many characters it is not very much, and I usually have more to say than they allow. So, you know,
Yeah.
for now, I'm cool on Facebook, but I'm hoping to move out of this area. We really want to maybe visit Washington and see what it's like up there, and maybe move up there if it's nice, you know. And I'm hoping that there will be some type of atheist community or group or something once we're in a different area that I can maybe do more things or become more involved in, because I am getting kind of like stagnated on Facebook a little bit, you know. I know, like, I've kind of taken a break from it recently. I was on there yesterday, but I haven't been on there so much lately, and I think it's because I've just gotten kind of like blah, a little bit bored with it, you know. There's only so much you can do through Facebook. In the area, like I said, the area I live in, there isn't a lot to
So
be
the area you
involved
live
in.
in is what area? I think you
I
told
live
me
in,
it's California.
yeah, I live in Northern California, almost like actual Northern California, not like Sacramento. That's like a couple hours away from me. So I'm about, oh geez, like 2 hours from the Oregon border. So I'm kind of definitely Northern California. I live in Redding, California.
Yeah, I know Redding.
So have you been through here?
I was a truck driver. I lived in California, and I was a truck driver
That's
for,
right. You mentioned that.
yeah.
So you've been to Reading then. So you know what it's like.
Yeah, I know
I
it's
was
like.
born in Red Bluff, so that's
Yeah,
even
no, I know
smaller.
Red Bluff is too.
Yeah.
Right along, they both are along the 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, but your statement about Washington, yes, Washington is beautiful. Yeah, I live now in Washington. I was from Southern California, which is a little different than Northern, definitely. But yeah, it's got a real, really strong atheist community. I think that I've lived in Portland, and I've lived in Seattle and in Southern California. I really like all of them. I think that the whole West Coast is pretty good. I think that there's more of it's a different kind of atheism. There's more atheists than I experienced sort of in California, where I think that the thing is that the religion is not as strong in Seattle kind of area as it was for me in Southern California. That people are not as like pushing the religion, but also because of that, I think that the atheism is a little different. It's more of
Mm.
a church atheist or accommodationalist atheist than I'm used to.
Oh.
That's I'm definitely anti-accommodationalist. I don't have anything to accommodate religion with.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean,
Me either.
I think that everybody's own. I'm not against people doing what's right for them. I'm not going to be going to no atheist church ever. And well, of
Yeah.
course, I say that, but if they pay me, once my book comes out, they want to pay me to come do a speech. I could probably see my way too. I do like money.
Well, you got to have it to live, so I can understand that.
But so it has actually like where I was in Southern California, the biggest meetup group had probably about 1,000 or something, and the biggest meetup in Seattle is almost 2,000. So it's definitely
Wow.
they're not lacking atheists.
Yeah. Wow. That's a lot of people.
but there but there's probably about 6 groups within a 10-mile area.
Wow.
So
Wow,
there's
that's really cool that there's that many people to get together with that have similar ideas, because
yeah, you could probably go to an atheist meetup probably every other day of the week.
Wow. Yeah, we got to get out of this area. Just got to get out of here.
Yeah, I have to pick like, oh, which one, and make sure it's scheduled. Which one, doesn't match with the other one, and or where do I want to go and who do I want to be around? Because there's that much actual choice.
Oh, well, man, that's cool. That's pretty cool.
I think so.
Yeah.
So yeah, you would like it. I agree.
My husband and I like to, well, I mentioned that to you through Facebook. My husband and I like to mountain bike. And I recently got a new mountain bike, a nice one I'm pretty excited about. And I've seen lots of pictures of the forest up there, and I really, really want to ride through that damned forest. So, yeah, even if we don't move up there, I want to go up there just for that alone. But, man, I think that it's really cool that there are that many atheists that you could pick and choose who you want to hang out with, That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it is cool because that I could pick people that are more like me because there are some that are more hardcore atheists like me, but so it is good. So Matt, did you want to ask any questions? I guess not. So is there anything that you wanted to ask me, Jenny, or did you want to address?
Jeez, I'm so overwhelmed right now just doing this that I can't even really, I feel like I've been totally inarticulate and I just can't even think of anything. Um, I don't know. When's your book coming out?
Well, I don't know exactly because my thing really is that the book is so complicated. It's like very very scholarly, and I already did now. I've done the second edit because the first edit I realized because I showed it to some people that someone was like, this I don't understand. It's a little too hard. Thing is that I read 50 books and 10,000 articles, and so because of that, my things I understand about archaeology, how they talk, I forget that what it's like to not remember what they're talking about. Because sometimes
Yeah.
they'll talk in terms, or anthropology, they'll talk in terms of things that other people may not understand. But I've now heard it so much that I know what it means.
Hmm.
Um, so like I was reading a book yesterday, and they say MBA, and I know what that means. It's Middle Bronze Age.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, but like I didn't know that, so I imagine that if you have a lot of that in there, maybe people don't understand, huh?
right, well,
But
and like when you talk about like a stone tool, like if I said stone tool to you as an archaeologist, they don't say a stone tool. That's not how they call it. A core, which means it's the rock itself, and then they say bifaced if both sides of the rock is chipped.
oh,
And so I I have to go back and say stone tool because it really doesn't matter. You don't need to know the exact
the terminology.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But so
Well,
stuff
I'm
like
looking
that.
forward to it. I'll read it when you
Yeah.
come out with it. I'd like to. It sounds interesting. And
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sure there are some people I could give that to to read if, from what
Yeah,
you were saying.
so I finished it, but my wife has to go through and she has to edit it and then ask me questions. Like the other day, she asked me questions about the Scythians. I don't know if you know who they are, but the
Yeah.
Scythians, okay, relate to Iran, and there's I can't remember the exact name what it's called, but it's a basically it's another version of the name Scythian, and actually the Buddha was actually from that clan of the Scythians,
Uh,
and who were living in northern India. So actually,
Oh.
Buddha wasn't really an Indian or totally Indian. He had some amount of the Scythian clan, so he's actually Iranian. So,
Oh.
but I
That's
had just
interesting.
yeah. Well, I know there's all kinds of stuff that I talk about, but I had forgot. I just said that Indo-European studies had found out, the linguistic connection, which is language, linguistic connection to the Buddha and stuff. But I forgot to explain all about the Scythians and how it relates to him, and that
I
like what
see.
a lot of people don't know that besides northern India, one of the biggest places for originally for Buddhism was actually Afghanistan.
Hmm. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so one of the things was that people from India would go up there and do raids and stuff. But anyways, so and then that's also why it later went to uh, Tibet and then from there to China. But actually but anyways, besides the point, I forgot to like put in. I know all this stuff in my head, but I forgot to like make sure that I explained it because the problem is you're trying to make it like the book not be 10,000 pages. I mean, so
Yeah.
I try to give you I know I don't want to teach you about everything, but I want to give you the stuff that would be important to you. But then I forget sometimes that I need to explain better, or sometimes I have to take stuff out. It's too much. I get too wordy. Like you talk about on Facebook, you could write more.
I know what you're saying.
Well, so,
I know what you're
because
saying.
sometimes my wife will go, "What the hell? You're like jumping all over the place." She goes, "How does Zoroastrianism relate to Buddhism?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, this and that." She goes, "Why don't you just say that? Let's take this other crap out." So it's hard because it's a really really involved book, and so but I finished now my second edit, trying to rectify the stuff. My wife is going through. She's on chapter 4 right now, and I have 6 chapters, so she's going through and finishing it. She'll be finished with 4 this week, and then I paid $2,000 to an editor to then after her to edit it again to make sure grammar and all that. So I don't
Yeah.
know. It'll definitely be under 6 months. It could be 2 months before it gets published. I don't, but I really care more about that it's done right. Really edited.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's too hard to of stuff that like a lot of atheists like the books seem to me like they talk about a lot of things that people already know about Christian, but I talk about Wiccan, I talk about all kinds of stuff, Bali, Confucianism, Taoism, I mean Zoroastrianism. I talk about a lot of stuff that some people may not be as familiar with.
Yeah. Well, that's good because I know, like, for me, the two main religions that I know anything about are Islam and Christianity, but those are the two biggest, and it stands to reason. But there's a lot of other religions that I really don't know anything about, really, and
But
so I'm definitely interested. I'm interested in reading what you write when it's
oh yeah, you'll,
done.
you'll be you'll be yeah you'll be interested and informed because actually I explained how those two religions, Islam and Christianity, relate to other religions. How they're not isolates. In other words, they're not by themselves. They didn't just.
Yeah,
And the same with the Jewish religion and stuff. All that stuff is really a lot more connected to other religions than people realize. The biggest thing is that
yeah,
we have this opinion that people didn't usually travel around, but we don't realize that they traveled around a lot.
yeah,
People back in the old days, you couldn't make everything yourselves, and so you had to travel around. They didn't have a cookie mart.
yeah,
And also a big thing about religion around 2,000 years ago, especially was the fact of the silk trade. There was a lot of east to west transfer of ideas that we
yeah.
forget about. But so, is there any atheist that you look up to, or that you feel inspires you, or has inspired you?
I really like Ayan Hirsi Ali, and I like Sam Harris a lot. Although I know a lot of people are like controversial about him. Of course, Christopher Hitchens.
So
He's
can you go
gone.
back to why do you think people are controversial to him, or
I guess because of some of the things that he's said, about Islam being the motherlode of bad ideas, which,
No.
all that that whole thing that transpired or whatever. But, you know, I think he has a lot of good ideas, and I think he's a interesting guy to listen to. But
Yeah, I
I
agree.
know,
I don't like everything that he says. I would say more. I have an issue with him in spirituality or Buddhism than I would with anything else. I love his atheism. Fucking A, he's awesome, man. And but talking about morality, totally with him. So I like a lot of things about Sam Harris. So yeah,
yeah,
Islam, of course, Islam's dog shit. So and I don't have a
yeah,
problem with that. I mean, of course, I think all religions dog shit, so it really doesn't matter. I mean, it's not like I'm some Islamophobia or something. I mean, I hate Christians, I hate Buddhists, I hate it all. I mean, it's all,
yeah.
mind-stealing fucking, lies and pseudoscience and pseudo-history. I mean, it's it's just
Yeah,
it's not useful for humans, and it's destructive. I mean, I just
yeah.
see
Oh, yeah,
I see it like religion like it stains you. I mean even after you're gone, its effect is like it's systemic. It's like if you
Well,
step
you
in,
really start to realize that some of these ideas that you held, the only reason you held them or still holding them is because it's left over from religion. Even though I never really believed in any of the dogmatic bullshit, there was still things that I picked up from it that I didn't really know, I didn't associate with religion, but when I really sat down and thought about it, yeah, that's where I got those ideas, was from being raised by religious people, and yeah. So yeah, it does stain you. It absolutely does. You
yeah, I
know.
think that the most lasting for me thing about religion is really being a free thinker. I think it's still for me sometimes I can be too dogmatic, and I think that I try to say that I want to have an open relationship with the truth. I want to be open to new truth, although sometimes it's not very easy. But I even want to accept things that I don't like if it's true, because I really
Yeah.
want what's true. Because I'm just saying, I think that one of the things that religion really does is it really makes you dogmatic. This is the truth, and you just don't fucking change no matter what. And I
Mhm.
just don't want to be like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. Sometimes it's yeah, when you hold an idea and you think it's right, sometimes it is hard to let go, even when you're presented with new information that totally discounts it, and sometimes you're like, no, no, that's not right. So I understand what you mean by that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think,
good.
oh, sorry, no, go ahead.
No, I was saying I think it's cognitive dissonance and it's also denialism. Religion promotes those things as
Oh,
ideals.
yeah.
That
Yeah, yeah.
that not only that are they useful, they're better, they're wonderful. In fact, you should do it. And I think that's a hard thing. Because even like when I first became an atheist, I know it's funny, maybe now, but I used to think, well, I don't believe in God, but ghosts could be real, because I'm watching all these ghost shows and stuff, and ghosts could be real. And then I had to, accept, the science kept saying, no, that's false, and I had to let that go, and that was really hard for me because, I wanted to believe.
Yeah. I think the hardest thing for me to let go of was astrology. I used to
Yeah.
love astrology, loved it, and anything I read, oh yeah, that's totally me. But now I get that a lot of that is really, if you really like think about it, it's really ambiguous. It's not really me. It could be anybody. It could be said about anybody, really. Most people could
Yeah.
relate to what that said. So that was probably the biggest one for me. That was the hardest thing for me to let go of, because that was the one thing that I thought was really cool and I really liked, and yeah, it's just bullshit too.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I know what you're saying about that. You want to believe that this is real and you really like this thing, so yeah, but it's really not. you know I know what you're saying there.
Yeah, like, did you watch the movie The Fourth Kind ever? where it's about
I don't know. That sounds familiar. Who was in
alien
it?
abduction in Alaska or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah, I think so.
Where I'm watching it, and see, I knew some some about the Sumerians and all that, and so I watched it, and and for a second I started going, oh man, is this like could be true? But then I went and looked at what it supposedly takes place. I think it's in Fairbanks, Alaska, or something. I went and looked
Yeah.
at Fairbanks, and the movie's got like trees and everything, it's real green hills and stuff. I went and looked on because now that's something different about. I'm a rationalist. I try to go back to, or a skeptic. I try to go back to let's look at the facts. And I went and looked at the facts. Fairbanks, Alaska is like flat and not one hill, not one tree. I mean, it's complete like a sand pile next to the ocean.
Mhm.
Nothing like the movie.
Yeah.
Completely nothing. So I felt like, oh, I was foolish, man. For a second there, I almost thought that shit was real. So, have you read any? You said you like to read. Have you read any atheist books that you really inspired you, or that you thought were the best, or you would tell other people to go read?
I read a book by Ayan Hirsi Ali, her first one, Infidel. I read that book. I really liked that. I thought it was what a sad life she had, and how amazing that she got out of that, got herself out of it, and I would say that the thing that was really a cool scene that she wrote about was when she arrived in the Netherlands, and she was like, I was looking around and there were all these people, and it was so clean, and women didn't have their heads covered, and they're sitting talking with men like they're equals almost, and they're not being raped. The buses aren't crashing because they don't have their heads covered, and I thought, man, what a powerful thing for somebody to see that's never ever seen that, so that was a really good book. I really enjoyed that, and I think she is a pretty amazing woman to have gone through all that, and yeah, it's a great book. And then I read a book by Sam Harris. Oh, I can never remember the title or how it's titled exactly.
A Letter to a Christian Nation?
No, it's not that one. It's
Moral Landscape?
no, darn. What's it called? It's something
Lies or something like that?
terror. The way it's titled is really difficult it's always really difficult for me to remember the title of it.
Oh, that's fine.
Sorry, I read a Sam Harris book that I really liked. Okay. I listened to The God Delusion by Dawkins, which was good. Although some of the stuff, I don't know, some of the stuff he says or said in that book was a little bit, like he was talking about having a school master that, I don't know, it was about, like, to me it was about molestation and how these kids are getting groped by their priest, but they're not really hurt by it, really, and I thought that was kind of like weird, but beyond that, the body of the book was interesting. Most of it was pretty interesting. So.
Yeah,
I guess that's really about
kids are hurt by it, so that I totally disagree.
Yeah.
And another thing too is that the fact that it's like saying, well, if you're not raped hard enough, well, then you're not the right to feel raped. No, you've been raped, even if it's because to me, there's no such thing as a loving rape. You know what I'm saying? That rape is a rape. Now, I'm not saying that there can't be worse, more traumatic and more harmful, but that doesn't mean that the other stuff is not rape. Molestation is doing stuff with children, period, and it is harmful. It's been proven to harmful, so it doesn't.
Well, do you know the passage I'm talking about where he?
I don't. I read the book. I don't remember distinctly that from the book. I do remember him making a comment to someone, I think, about that, and then people getting really mad about him saying that.
Yeah. I just think, like, that was, to me, that stuck out as being like, I was kind of shocked. I was like, wow, really? You don't think children, just because they got fondled, that they're not harmed by it? Okay, well, I don't agree with that. I think that's very harmful,
Yeah.
Wow, but, so I thought that was a little bit weird in the book. But other than that, the book was interesting for sure. And I guess that's about it. But yeah, I guess the book that most inspired me was probably the one that I read by Ayan Hirsi Ali.
Yeah, I
Just
haven't
because
read
I
any of her
relate, because
books.
she's a woman. What was that?
I said I haven't read
Sorry.
any of her books.
She's a pretty interesting lady.
Yeah. Yeah, I should read it. I actually didn't even know that she had written a book. I know who you're talking about, though.
Yeah. She's got a few, I think. I have the second one called Nomad, but I haven't started it yet. I have so many books, and sometimes, I don't know, I don't get to them. I'll have a whole shelf in my room of uh, paperback books that I have to read still. I have a bunch sitting. I'm kind of a bibliophile, and sometimes I have all these books, and I end up not getting to them, and I just need to read them, collect them. But I also
Yeah.
got books on this thing.
Yeah, I have right now more books that I can read. Definitely, I have a whole bunch that I bought. Last year, I spent like $1,000 in books.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's easy to do that, I think. You
Yeah.
know, I see all kinds of stuff that I'm interested in, and then sometimes I get a little overwhelmed because I'm like, well, where do I start? Which one do I want to give precedent to? And then I can't decide, and then I go, I'm just going to go on Facebook for
Yeah.
now. I'll read later. I have to decide on which one I want to read. Anyway.
Yeah. Right now, I'm reading a really big book about the culture of Turkey. The reason why a lot of people don't know that a lot of stuff about religion relates back to Turkey. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Well, a lot
That's
of people don't
interesting.
realize that what I talk about in the book, that to me really most of it's believed, a theory that most of the European languages actually come back to Turkey,
Huh.
starting 10,000 years ago. Turkey, most of the religious ideas kind of spread out from Turkey. Turkey had the first man-made temple at like 10, 12,000 years ago. It had the first
Huh.
religious city, where the city was dedicated to religion at about, I think it's 1,000 years ago. But Turkey also was one of the first places that agriculture was done, was also really early for copper working, and was also a main source of obsidian that people took, starting 14,000 years to about 6,000 years ago. But
Huh.
and I mean, if you read the book, you understand. But there's like so much stuff that happened because of that, and how it relates to Israel, and how it relates to Egypt, and how it relates to Mesopotamia and Iraq, and yeah, the Sumerians. It's in India. It's in Iran. It's really amazing how the religions are so connected in a sense. I mean, it's not right to say that they're totally the same or something, or there's not
Hmm.
like one big religion, but because I tell people it's almost like the bow. The bow was an idea that was just useful, and so it was invented many times. Religion,
Hmm.
and there's no such thing as a world religion that we're all the same. There are a lot that are the
Yeah.
same, but also people reinvent the same thing sometimes several times in several different
Oh,
places
yeah.
without any outside influence. It's just functional.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah.
religion, in a sense, is this mystical thinking, and it's just functional to put it together into a religion.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see that. That makes sense.
So, but yeah, I'm surprised you never saw the cover of my book.
No, I haven't. I've got a lot of friends on Facebook. I see a lot of the
You're
stuff
like,
that you
you're
post,
not
but I haven't seen
special.
that.
My ego is
Oh,
crushed.
I'm sorry.
No, whatever. I,
I haven't seen it. If you tag me in it, I'll see it.
okay,
I'm curious. I'm interested.
I'm a legend in my own mind, I guess, right?
I was I didn't say that.
You're like, no, but you probably should start thinking so.
Oh, jeez. No, I didn't say that. No way. Man, that's a big accomplishment. You wrote a book. That's awesome, dude.
Well, like I said, and it's going to be probably about 600 pages. It's going to be 6 chapters. It's going to have probably somewhere from 1,000 to 1,500 references. And so it's, yeah. I don't think too many people will pick it up and not learn something. I don't care really. Probably no matter where you come in the spectrum of things. I've worked that hard. I've worked for 3 years on this, and it's so funny. As I started, I didn't really know much about religion or anything, because you'll read this and think like, wow, Damien's so educated on religion. Yeah, I kind of learned with you. I mean, writing this book was, the researching. Because I think when I realized religion was false, I wasn't happy that we couldn't prove that. I mean, really, really firmly.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
My battery's starting to die.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
No problem.
Sorry about that.
No problem. So, anyways, but I'll post a thing and I'll tag you on it, so you can find out, who I am.
Well, yeah, I'm interested in it. I am.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Well, I appreciate what you do. You're out atheism and stuff, and I appreciate you as a woman atheist. I think that we really need to have more women atheists being willing to come out and say it. And so I really appreciate you for doing that.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on your show and interviewing me. I hope that I didn't sound like a total idiot.
You did great.
It's the first time I've ever been interviewed ever, so
Oh yeah?
beyond job interviews, obviously. But thanks a lot.
And it's not been that bad, right?
No, it hasn't been bad. It's been nice to meet you and talk to you because I always see your posts, and it's nice to put a personality with the picture and everything. So, yeah,
right
thanks.
Thank you. Okay, well, we're going to call it quits, and it's been